All righty, it is noon, so that means it is time for training. It is time to talk about communication, awareness. So, happy birthday to me.
Happy birthday to you.
39 to me. So as people are starting to gather into the room, this is a space. Please just go into your comment section and tell me happy birthday or tell me hello. Say hello from which site that you're coming from. Are you coming from at Lead Her 10 or are you coming from the at Fearless Women Entrepreneurs? It's a mouthful when we talk about this. So I am super excited to be here today. I'm going to get into all my introduction in just a bit, but I want people to gather into the room. Before we get started, I don't want to leave anybody behind and they're like, what is going on? So we will give to about 5 after. We'll give a grace period of about 5 minutes just for people to gather into the room. So come on, Tanika Divins Howard with the hair. This was a Facebook user. Thank you so much. I am rocking a new little box. So happy about that. I'm doing something different with a little bit of color. So this is outside the comfort zone, but I am rocking it and I'm loving it right now. Another Facebook user said, hello, ladies. Hello to you too.
Hello, hello, hello.
Continue to jump on and get in the page and say hello. Tell me happy birthday because I'm super excited. I'm not going to have my birthday beverage right now. I'm going to have my Gatorade to stay hydrated.
Yes.
I'm not going to do that too early. Hello, Shayna, the Ad Connection Guru. Good morning. So continue. If you can't hear us, please give us a sound check as well.
Yes.
So we know, so that we know that you guys are hearing us loud and clear. Thank you again, Amira, for the invitation to do this. I'm excited.
Yes.
The Fearless Women, I think this is going to be some timely information that it can be used anywhere.
Definitely.
Good morning, Sherry. Thank you for the sound check. Thank you, Shayna, as well for the sound check. Okay, I'm going to continue. Have a couple of more minutes. We're getting down to it. Again, if you're just joining us, we're about 15 seconds away from starting. How are you communicating the law of awareness? Communication is your currency. So if you're on the platform, you don't want to hop off because I'm going to give you some instructions momentarily of how to win some free stuff. So you do not want to leave the room at this time, especially if you want to get something possibly of $150 value. You don't want to leave the room at this time. Have to move some things around. Okay, I think we are 5 after. I don't want to drag this out. I gave a little extra grace because we're at 45 seconds after the 5 minutes. At Kiana Campbell, thank you so much for the birthday love. I love you back. It is my birthday, chapter 39. And I'm only, 12 hours into it? And I am feeling great. I feel amazing right now. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and get started because I am excited to get this get this information, to impart this knowledge on my entrepreneurs, to ladies. I am excited to start this right now. So Amira, I am going to, Amira will be moderating. So if you have any questions, Amira will be watching those questions. And if I need to take a pause to answer some questions along the way, I will do that. Also, continue to put your comments in there. We will see them afterwards. But I want to make sure that I get the information to you properly. Again, you do not want to leave the room especially before I give you the instructions, because there are some birthday gifts that I am giving to you guys for hanging out with us for about 45 minutes to 50 minutes today. So again, thank you for joining us. I'm going to pull up the presentation because typically I wouldn't do a presentation, but I think it's very important for you guys to visually see the information today. So I will be in the background. You will hear my voice, but you will not see me. Amir, can you give me a gauge? Can you see the slides?
Yes, I can. I can see the slides. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Good morning. Well, and now it's afternoon. So how are you communicating? This is the law of awareness. Communication is currency. This is presented on behalf of the Maxwell Disc Method and Lead Her. I am your host for today. I am Tanika Divins Howard. A little bit about myself. I am a 20-year Air Force veteran. After traveling around the world, 11 assignments, 2 career fields, a lot of leadership opportunities and experiences, I expanded my reach and I went into the local schools that I was in, and I saw a problem. There was a lack of minority mentors in the community that were actually stepping up and helping our young people advance and excel into greatness. So what I did was I capitalized on my John Maxwell speaker training and coach certifications and my additional educational backgrounds, and I started my own company. I am the CEO of H2G Leadership Group, and I'm also the founder of Lead Her, which is a leadership development program for young women to basically help them build characteristic traits that help them live a balanced and healthy lifestyle. If we build that foundation early on, guess what? We are able to live balanced and healthy lifestyles. So once I got going, I was able to, we're working on the leadership development program, but I thought that this piece, the communication piece of the program is very important. And I wanted to pull that out specifically for our entrepreneurs, those folks that are directly leading and communicating with people. So guess what? This training, this tool is valuable for anyone that opens their mouth on a daily basis and talks to other people. So I wanted to get this information out, and now it is a single a la carte portion of the program that I present to companies, businesses, whomever that wants to add this superpower to their toolbox. So today, what you can expect to learn. So today you're going to expect to learn how to recognize patterns of behavior in yourself and in others. The law of awareness is about you first and then others. So I want to get you to understand that to know thyself is to be able to communicate with others. I'm going to show you what those 4 primary DISC styles are, and then we're going to talk about some strategies to improve your communication. Okay, so some people, they always want to know, like, where does this stuff come from? Who is the theorist behind it? So William Marston, he is one of the gurus of communication. There have been several different methods used in the past, but Marston, he used a combination of of these styles. So in 1928, he identified that the DISC theory, which was published in his book, Emotions of Normal People. And his method, it identified what each of us in a combination of the 4 primary styles, which is dominance, influence, steadiness, and compliance. It connects our personality styles to one of those, to one of those 4 character traits. But I want you to understand something, that just because you may be identified as one a little bit over the other, we all have a varying degree of all of these combinations in us. It just depends on the situation. So don't think that, oh, I'm a dominant, I have a dominance trait, and that's all it is. No, depending on the situation, you could easily morph into the opposite of dominance, which is the compliance. You could easily morph into that and tap into that, and you'll be asking all kinds of questions, something that is out of character of that dominance personality. So I want you to understand we're all a combination of each of them depending on the situation. Okay, so like I said, the framework of this method was not to label us or put us in a box. You have to understand that we are a combination of each, and I'm going to help you today to recognize those patterns that illustrate a person's behavioral preferences, and how and when we learn to use our own areas of strength to bring out the best in others. So you're going to be able, as you start to engage and you start to tap into your superpower, which is now the DISC method, you're going to be able to recognize things in other people. And I don't want you to put people in a box, but I want you to be able to recognize some traits. And once you recognize those traits, you're going to be able to communicate with them better. And again, you're going to be able to do this with all of the patterns. You're going to be able to communicate, connect, and collaborate depending on that situation. Okay, so I want to get directly into the meat of this training, which is the Maxwell DISC method of personality indicators. Like I stated before, I am a trained John C. Maxwell trainer, coach, and speaker. So therefore, this is a part of that program that now I have adopted into the Lead Her program. So I want to give you a scenario, because to bring this full circle, I want to give you this scenario. So let's just say that you're waiting on an elevator. And as the doors open, you secretly hope that no one else is in the elevator. So you don't have to go through that awkward moment as you walk onto the elevator of trying to figure out who's walking on. I hope they don't talk to me. I hope they don't try to engage me too much. I just want to get on this elevator. I just want to go. So you get on this elevator, you push your button, and then you're looking at everything but the people in the elevator. You're looking at your shoes, you're looking at the door, you're looking at the door, the floor. You're looking at anything other than the people, because you just do not want to engage those people. You're more reserved. You have a little bit more of a reserved nature. So in this method, I want you to understand that at the bottom where we see that compliant and steady, that's where our reserved folks kind of reside. They want to just stay in that little area, and they're more reserved. They're just not that outgoing. Not to say that they're standoffish or anything like that, but when given the opportunity, they're going to stay within their introverted comfort zone a little bit more. So that's for our C's and S's. So now I'm going to put you back on that same elevator, same scenario. Guess what? We're going to do the opposite. There's going to be this extroverted person that is going to jump on and say, hey girl, hey. They're going to be like, what's going on? Did you guys see the game last night? Did you see that incredible play at the last couple of minutes? They're going to be talking about everything. Do you remember what happened in that training? They're going to be talking about everything under the sun, because they don't want the opportunity. They don't want that elevator ride to be awkward. So they're going to be a little bit more outgoing. They're going to be talking about a lot of different things. And as they're talking about a lot of different things, those C's and S's that we talked about before, those compliant and steady, more reserved, introverted folks, they're going to cringe just a little bit because they're on the elevator and they're like, I wish John or Susie would just be quiet and get to their floor. So the opposite of that reserved, you got your more outgoing folks. That's your dominant and influencing personalities. So those are the folks that are going to get on the elevator and they're going to need to be talking about business. They're going to be talking about something social. They're going to be the chatty Cathy's of the group. And I want you to understand something, that all of these in combination, they're not a bad thing. Some people, it takes a little bit more out of them to deal with those folks. Like those C's and S's, it takes a little bit more of their energy and effort to deal with those D's and I's because of the fact that they're like, oh my gosh, they just completely drained me of all my conversation that I had for today. Some of us have a reserve of small talk throughout the day. So they're like, oh my gosh, I just engaged with those D's and I's and I have used up everything that I have for today. So I want to pose just a quick question for you. So some of you, we all go on vacation. We hope that after this pandemic that we will be able to move about in the next couple of weeks or months, that we're comfortable enough to take small trips. But when we start planning our trips, like some of us, I will tell you, what are you focused on? Are you focused on the vacation in and of itself, or are you focused on the things that it takes to get to the vacation? And what I mean by that is prior to going on the vacation, are you worried about mowing the lawn, taking the dog to the kennel, taking your car to get service if it's a road trip, or are you worried about if there's Wi-Fi in the hotel, or if will I be able to still do my work while I'm on vacation? Some of us, we worry about those things. And then some of us we just worried about, hey, who's going with us? How many people can I accommodate in the car? What does this hotel look like? What are the amenities at the hotel? What are the things that you are worried about as you prepare for this vacation? Does it give you stress just to go on vacation? And so when we talk about so before we talked about, are you reserved or a little bit more outgoing? Now we're going to tap into, are you worried about the task? So on the opposite end, when we start talking about our D's and C's, they're more task oriented. Our dominant and compliant folks, they're more worried about the things that they have to do to get ready for the vacation. They're worried about the tasks that are associated with it. Now, again, so now we're still talking about that same vacation. Now, if you're more worried about the social aspect of it, am I going to have fun? Who's going to go with me? Who's going to bring, is there bars? Is there clubs? Is there a casino? What are the amenities around me to make sure that everyone is comfortable on this trip? Then you're the opposite of those D's and C's. That's that I and S, where you're a little bit more, worried about the social aspect of it. Okay, so now I want to jump right into explaining, because I've said a lot about the D's and the DISC. Now I want to give you a glimpse of what those 4 styles are, and give you a little bit of background and demographics of each of them, because in order to see where you fall, I think that it's important for me to explain it to you as well. Okay, so those D's, those dominant personality traits. So 3%, that's a very low number. It's a very low number. And these folks, they're seeking control, decisive, they're very direct, and they're very results oriented. Now, when I see this, these folks I see this a lot more in our entrepreneurs. I see that a lot in folks that have like executive positions and that type of thing, because they have to be. They have to have all of the information. They have to have it in quick snapshots because they're always making quick decisions. So when you give them that information, I'm going to tell you in a little bit how to directly communicate with those folks. So when you're communicating the personality traits in and of itself of that dominant personality is they're going to be direct, they're results oriented, they want the bottom line of the information. You don't want to just give them a little bit of it. So again, those folks, they're driven by authority. We're going to they want to take control. Those dominant personalities, when you see them on the vacation, they want to take the lead. If you're going hiking, you're probably going to see that dominant personality in the front because they want to know, they want to be in control of taking the lead of where it is we're going and how we're moving about. They embrace change. Those D's, they're always moving because again, they're always results oriented. So when their bottom line is about the result, they're going to be okay with adapting to change and they're okay with the pivot. So right now, our dominant personality folks, when I'm looking around at folks' social media pages and I'm looking at business pages, I'm seeing who is able to navigate and pivot. So a lot of times that's those dominant personalities. They're ready to go ahead and make that change because they want their business to keep thriving. So they also, when they get employees, when they have relationship, loyalty is key with them. But with each of these personality traits, I'm going to give you their greatest fear. When we're talking about our dominant personality traits, their greatest fear is being taken advantage of. And the reason I say being taken advantage of is because of the fact they get a lot of quick information. They're making decisions very quickly and they trust. They go back to that loyalty. They're hoping that the people that are advising them and giving them counsel are giving them the right information and that they are not being taken advantage of. They're not making a decision based on half of the information. So we move on to the I's. The I's are the fun folks. I love the I's when we are talking about teams and putting people together in groups. I like to have an I on the team because the I is there is never going to be a dull moment with my I. That's my influencers. Those are the folks. It's 11% of those folks, and it takes some special character traits. Those folks are always friendly. They're spontaneous. So they're going to change with the conversation. When you start to, now that I'm making you aware, when you go to meetings or you're engaging with folks, guess what's going to happen? You're going to recognize those eyes above everybody else more than likely, because when there's a conversation to be had, guess what? Those eyes are going to be in every conversation. They want to be the chatty Cathys of everything. They want to be in the know. Most of the time, the spotlight is going to be on them. When they walk into the room, they're going to be a loud presence. Not an annoying presence, but they're going to be a presence. They want you to know that they are in the room. So those eyes, they want a friendly environment. They hate meetings that are so much just like stuffy boardroom types. That's why when I see a lot of influencers, I see them in more of the open concept area. So if you look at the young lady in the picture, she's not in a boardroom. She's actually in a open architecture space because more than likely she wants to be able to move about and to get into different groups. Your eyes are more relationship oriented. They're emotional and animated. When they tell a story, they're going to tell you everything from A to double Z. They are not going to leave anything. They're going to tell you about everything that's ancillary to the actual story. So when we are talking about our eyes, you want to leave room in your agenda for those folks that are influencers because of the fact they're going to always give you more information that you're looking for. They treasure great experiences. I like to have an eye when I'm going on vacation because I'm not necessarily really a thrill seeker in and of itself, but I do like someone to say, hey, let's go try that. And if that person says, let's go try it, I'm going to be more inclined to do it, not necessarily just on my own. Their greatest fear is rejection and loss of approval. So if they walk into a room and they walk in and they're trying to engage people and no one engages them back, that mechanism is going to tap in, they're going to feel like they've been rejected and that no one approves of them. So they're probably going to go into some type of, they're going to be a little bit more emotional because no one's acknowledging them. So now, where a lot of people fall in line, 69% of the S's, these are S's. S's are team oriented and they are great follow through folks. They're great folks to have on the team because of the fact that not everybody needs to be the chief. Because when you're sitting in a room with a bunch of dominant personalities, I guarantee you it's going to take someone, maybe an influencer or maybe one of those steady folks that's going to be able to bring the conversation into a productive state, not necessarily into a combative state, because those D's, everyone has their own agenda and they're all trying to be heard, and that they're, whatever it is, they want their thing to be the it thing. So when we talk about that it thing, if 5 dominant personalities are sitting in a conference room and they're all saying, hey, let's do this, I want to do this with the company now. Well, now they have competing agendas. So it's going to take someone like that influencer to kind of break up the tension. It's going to take someone like an S that's going to say, hey, I think that this should happen. If we look at this program or this new product, what is our customers going to say? They're going to be the voice of reason, because those are the folks that are going to more than likely execute whatever it is to get that thing off the ground for those dominant personalities, for those leaders. So you want to make sure that you have a good balance in the room. So they are loyal, and they do accept things, but they're not out front. They're not the folks that are the creators. They're more than likely the executioners and the advancers in your group. So 69% of folks fall in line. Now your S-wired folks, those are folks, again, their team, they like a team environment. They don't necessarily like to make the decisions. They just like to go with the flow. They are our go along to get along folks sometimes. And that's fine. They're very easygoing. They're very laid back. They're agreeable, evenly paced, good listeners, and they're compassionate. But their greatest fear is loss of security and confrontation. Our S's, they do not like to go head to head. They're not about that life. They're going to be like, what do you want me to do? And I'm going to do it. So when we talk about in relationships, ladies, sometimes our S personality partners, they will work our nerves just a bit because of the fact that they don't want to go into the fire and have those deep discussions that could drive a little bit more of emotion, because they just don't want the confrontation. And there's nothing wrong with that. Another one of their greatest fears is loss of security. So they tread lightly when they say, I'll give you this. When they're kind of doing that compromise piece, they're going to tread lightly because they don't want you to take away what it is, their job, their role. They like we're at work and my job is to make sure that the coffee filters are always stocked. I'm going to make sure that the coffee filters are stocked. And let's say one of those dominant personalities comes in and says, hey, I found this new machine that can automate how the coffee filters are put in place. Now the S is, you're going to hear from them just a bit because of the fact that you're taking away my job. There's a loss of security in what it is I bring to the table. And they're going to defend that a bit. So you want to make sure that when you're presenting new things, that those S's, that you don't take away and make them feel less than. Now your C's. Now I am not going to lie to you. Sometimes the C's, they work my nerves, but I will tell you that the C's are so valuable. 17% folks fall in line with that C compliant personality trait, because I will tell you that they are analytical, they're time driven, and they're planners. They will drill down to the very pinpointed location of what it is that we're looking for. Financiers. I love a good a person that is in the financial background, because they are going to tell me, and more than likely they're going to be that compliant personality trait that's going to be their primary, because they are going to tell me, they're going to drill right down to the very penny of where my money is. You must have those on your team, else you're going to have a huge gap. You can't, if they leave nothing to ambiguity, they're going to tell you right exactly where everything is. They are not spontaneous at all. So when you throw them off of their regular routine, they are going to have a fit. They are checklist folks. They're compliant folks. So like, yeah, but they're necessary. So like when we talk about our airlines, the folks that are pre-checking the planes prior to takeoff, those are a lot of our compliant personalities, because of the fact that they have to follow it to the letter, because once that plane takes off, you have to make sure that everything was checked and is in where it's supposed to be prior to takeoff. They seek an environment that honors logic and fact. They don't deal in what ifs. They deal straight in the actual factual. This is exactly what we need. It's black and white with them. They are very compliant, conscientious. They're accurate. They're detail oriented. And they treasure perfection. So when you tell them, hey, can you read this? Can you check this to make sure it's thorough? They are going to push the time all the way to the limit. If it's a 12 o'clock deadline, they are going to be at 11:59 getting you that information, because they want to make sure that it is all the way accurate and correct for that decision maker. Their greatest fear is criticism. So you have to be careful when you're talking to our compliance personalities, because when you're talking to them, why did it take you so long? You can't, the way that you communicate with them has to be in a certain manner where you're still giving them kudos for the very detail oriented work that they're providing, or whatever service they're providing. Feedback, you have to tread lightly, because they don't take well to criticism. If they feel like they're being criticized, that it's going to stress them out just a bit. So you want to be careful with that. Okay, so my trainer, my boss, my mentor, my friend, John C. Maxwell, says that connecting increases your influence in every situation. So no matter how smart, caring, charismatic, or demanding that we are, we won't advance far without the ability to communicate and connect effectively with others. I want you to remember that. Connecting is going to increase your influence. Leadership is nothing more than influence. So if you are able to influence people, you have to be able to communicate with them. And sometimes you're going to have to, when you're presenting information, you may have to present it in a very well balanced way, because you don't know what kind of personalities are in your audience. Or if you do know the audience, you may be getting to the same end goal, but if you communicated it in a manner in which those folks are not going to be able to absorb it, guess what? You're not going to meet your goal. So you have to know you have to have some type of communication roadmap to consider. So now we're going to tap into, I'm going to show you how to effectively communicate with these 4 styles. So with our D's, remember we talked about they want the information quick, fast, in a hurry. They want the information. They don't have a lot of time for all of like their opposite, those compliance. They don't have time for all of the information that doesn't mean anything to them. It doesn't affect their bottom line. So when you're communicating with those D's, you want to remember that you want to be brief. You want to be direct. You want to be right down to the point. You do not want to ask them about how to get something done. You have to tell them what you're going to get done. They don't care about the gray area. They want to know directly what is it that you're doing to affect their bottom line, not how you're going to affect their bottom line. because results is the key for them. When you're talking to them, you must be direct and to the point again. So rambling is going to annoy them. They don't like a lot of small talk. When you call them, you say, hello, this is what I'm doing. I will have it to you by this time. And that is it. You hang up. That's it. Don't ramble. No pleasantries. It doesn't really matter how their day is going because it doesn't affect their bottom line. So again, you want to discuss what the problem is and what is the outcome and how you're going to, and what you're going to do to affect that outcome. Again, don't ask them questions, give them statements. So your eyes, you want to make sure that you, unlike our Ds, you want to make sure that you leave a little bit of time for the small talk. When you call them, say, hey, how was your day? Do you have any plans for the weekend? You want to make sure that they are, that they feel, there's a sense of comfort in that conversation, that you care about how they're feeling. They're tapping into their feelings. So, and when you're talking about a new idea, you want to make sure that when they're talking about everything from A to double Z, that you don't just breeze over what it is that they're talking about. You want to make sure that you're engaging. It's going to take a little bit more time because they do want to discuss, articulate, and kind of like have, there's going to be a lot of extra things that they're going to throw into the mix. So with the eyes, when I deal with the eyes, sometimes I will, in your communication, sometimes it's a little bit more effective to deal with their eyes in writing instead of in verbal, because they probably remember what you said you're going to do on the weekend, not about the task that you gave them. So you want to follow up with them and say, hey, just a reminder, I need this by this time, because the eyes, they have no concept of time because they are social butterflies. But you want to, their attention spans are usually pretty short. So you don't want to have meetings that are 40 minutes long because they're going to start to annoy those compliance personalities, because they're going to just say, I'm over this meeting. I already know what my task is. And now I'm sitting here for no reason. Get to the point. Sometimes even dismiss them and let them be on their way, because they may not be as productive as you think to whatever the that it is that you're discussing. So your S personalities, just like they're a varying degree of your eyes, but you want to make sure that those S personalities, you want to make sure that you're smiling, that you're pretty happy and upbeat. Even if you're not feeling friendly, you have to sometimes create a friendlier tone when you're discussing anything with our S-wired personalities. And you can't be overly aggressive. You want to, or minimize, and you want to make sure that you minimize the potential for confrontation, because again, large amount of these folks, this goes back to 69% of folks fall into this category. So they're just not, unlike your Ds where they are able to argue their point. S's don't want to argue. They don't want to get into that confrontation. They're not going to deal with it. It's just not in them to do it. So if you're working on a project together, you want to give the definition. You want to give definition to the goal and each person's role, because the S is, again, loss of security. You don't want to mistakenly take away their role or responsibility, because they want to know, where do they fit into the team. Now your C's, communicating with your C's. Okay, for those that are C-wired, I want you to remember that, or leaders that are dealing with your C-wired personalities, you want to make sure that you give them as much detail as possible. If I'm giving a C personality information, I want to make sure that I'm giving them as much detail so that they are able to go and dissect and pull that information back together in a manner that fits what it is the task is for them. With the C's, you want to be precise in your explanation. You want to be very specific, but you also must be patient. Patience is key when we're talking about our C personalities. You want to answer all of their questions. It's going to get a little frustrating. I'm going to tell you that. Anyone that is, you're probably thinking right now, like, oh, I know a C personality, they probably drive you crazy because of the fact they ask so many questions. But that is just how they're wired. They just want to make sure they do a great job. You don't want to criticize them for asking so many questions. So you don't want to fly off the handle and say, why are you asking me so many questions? You want to make sure that they are good to go when you leave the room. Okay, so we have talked about how to recognize the patterns in people around us. We talked about how to communicate with these folks. So once we know how someone is wired, because now I've made you aware. I put some things into your toolbox because now you're aware of how to recognize some things in people. So because you know how someone could be wired, that's going to enable you to build deeper relationships and connections. So all of those entrepreneurs that are on this live, I want you to remember something. Not all of your customers are built the same way. No two is built the same. And so when you're talking to them, when you're selling something, when you're trying to get a point across, you want to make sure that you want to make sure that that person actually heard you. So sometimes it's a little bit, I find it a little bit easier to try and build that rapport up front so that I know exactly who it is I'm dealing with and how I can effectively communicate with them. Because especially if I'm doing business with them, I want to make sure that that relationship and the communication of how I'm communicating with them, that they're going to be able to understand it. Okay, I'm going to switch gears just a bit and I'm going to come back because I want to see your happy faces because I feel like I've been talking for quite a bit and just remove myself. The beauty of technology. Okay, so I want to make sure that as we close that you guys are, that I explained it properly. So Amir, can you tell me if there was any questions or what the questions are? You guys can type those questions in. I'm able to see them now.
It really wasn't any, pretty much it was mostly just responses to the things we're saying. Like someone said, I used to struggle with rejection, but I've overcome that. It doesn't bother me as much as it used to. And then someone, Shauna said that she used to use the DISC assessment, and she said that she fell in almost all the categories. And so can you explain something about that? Because I was going to ask you that question myself is, can an individual fall in all categories?
Absolutely. So I breezed over that in the beginning. We all, to a varying degree, fall into all four of those categories.
Okay.
We can all just, depending on the situation. Now, it's always depending on the situation. If my primary natural trait is to always be that social butterfly, that influencer, that I just want things happy-go-lucky. I just want kumbayas and all of that. So if that is my primary, depending on the task, let's say I make you the head of the picnic committee. You're an influencer, but you must morph and use that dominant trait at that point. So if I'm using that dominant trait because I need to now direct people, because I'm the head of the picnic committee, I can't necessarily, it's not about friendships and relationship. It is now about the task. So once you figure out like what is my role, it's really about the role that you play at that time. So if I'm the leader of this group, I must do things in a very direct manner, and I need as much information because I have a lot of people that I have to take care of. So yes, all four traits are in us. It just depends on what the task is or what the situation is. As parents, we may naturally with our friendships we fall into that 69%. We're steady folks. We go along to get along. This is what I need to do. This is what I'm going to do, and I'm going to move it along. However, when we're dealing with our spouses or we're dealing with our or children, we may have to tap into that compliant role, or we may have to tap into that dominant role. It just all depends. So yeah, we all have it in us. It just all depends on the situation. It's just like Shauna said, one category may be a higher percent than other.
Yeah. Let me ask you a question. If you had a client like that, is you trying to determine if they're one dominant one versus another one? Like if I have a client and I see they possess several traits, how am I able to pinpoint the one I feel like I want to look at or target the most? Because like you said, in some categories, you kind of have to be careful, like with the C category. Then they fall in the category of being criticized. So you want to be careful in criticizing them. So then you say, okay, you possess the C, but then you also can possess, the S. So it's kind of trying to figure out, how do I connect with you, or how do I come at you? Because I don't want to fall in that category if I don't want to criticize, because I know you'll find that offensive, or then you say, and you have the S where they have the loss of security and they don't like confrontation. So how do you figure out, how does that fall?
Okay, so your CSs and your DIs. So I don't want to get too far ahead. So when we talk about DISC, typically we see high D, low I. So
okay,
they complement each other. Or you see a high I, low
gotcha.
D, or we see a high C, low S, or high S, low C. Okay. It is very rare. It is very rare that we see a DC.
Okay.
It is very rare. So it all depends on what it is. So when I'm talking about that CS or that DI, they complement each other. So it's okay you want to make sure that your conversation is a little bit of a combination of both. So if that high C does something, is like annoying everybody else with the turtle walk and the turtle talk, are very slow, pinpointed. Well, this graph says this percentage is this. You want to make sure, because again, they're complementary to the CSSC. You want to make sure that you kind of talk in general terms and say, look, when we're doing these tasks, when we're sitting in this meeting, I want to make sure that we go with the flow and keep to the time. You just want, so that you're not taking away anybody's time, you're not taking away anyone's role, or minimizing or belittling anyone. That's what you don't want to do. So again, it's that awareness piece. I know who's sitting in the room. I know what complements each other. So I don't want to make anyone feel uncomfortable. In that. So yeah, it becomes, once you're aware and you start, again, now I've shown you what these kind of traits look like. You're going to change your conversation a little bit, even if you have never, even if they have not taken this assessment. You're going to see, because I've made you aware of what those character traits look like.
Right.
So when you see those, like when I'm dealing with business owners and entrepreneurs and CEOs, most of the time I am talking to them directly. I'm saying what it is I want them to do for me, and this is what it's going to do for their business.
And that's it.
And that's it. I'm not going into the hows. I'm not going into the what you do to get there. I'm telling you, this is what I want to buy. This is what it's going to do for your business, and it's going to increase your revenue. So again, when we talk about the law of awareness, communication is currency. This is where your business, because you know your customer, your revenue is going to go up here, because you're able to communicate with those folks effectively. So when I was presenting today, I gave you a combination of all four.
Right.
Yeah. Because what I did was, I gave a 5-minute grace period for the, hey, let's socialize just a bit to accommodate my influencers.
Okay.
I gave you I'm going to give you the direct what this tool is going to do for you and how it's going to affect at the end. And that is for my dominant personality traits, because how am I affecting their bottom line? But I'm also those compliance folks. I gave you Dr. Marston because they want to know, where did this come from? When did it originate? I gave you Dr. William Marston, 1928, the book that he wrote that morphed into this disc. So they want to know that information. Our steady folks, they just want to know, okay, do you want me to do this or not?
Right.
So if you give this, so as a CEO and a dominant personality trait, and you say, hey, I want my employees to take this assessment, the steady ones are going to be like, okay, send me the link and I'll take it.
Right.
They're going to go and get along. They're not, it's going to help them in the long run. The leader saw something in this assessment that makes it that they want to add it to their development. So they're going to do it either way. So again, you just have to make sure that there's a good balance between everything.
So the assessment pretty much is just is diving deeper into who I am as an individual.
Yeah.
My personality. And in return, that helps you allows you to help me even further, because there's things I could be missing that I'm not seeing in myself that I may say, no, that ain't me. But when I do the assessment, it's saying, yes, in some form or shape, you're doing this and you don't see it.
So when you say, yes, Tanika, I want to do this assessment, I want you to set aside some free time, about 15, 20 minutes, because I want you to make sure that when you take the assessment, because again, the output is based on you. It's not me.
Right.
I'm only going to look at the output and say, okay, this is how you answered those questions. And this is, to a varying degree, this is what your personality trait says about you.
Okay.
And it's not bad. People, I don't want them to leave the assessment or feel like, well, this is saying that I'm something that I'm not. And because what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask you questions just to see, okay, is this you? To a varying degree, I'm going to make you aware of what these personality traits are again. And then I'm going to say, well, do you find yourself doing this? Do you find yourself asking a lot more questions? Do you find yourself being a little bit more short-mannered with people and asking a lot more of the what piece, not the how piece? Do you find yourself just, when a relationship goes bad, do you internalize that a little bit more? Because our influencers, they hold things in because they value relationship. So I'd have to ask them that series of questions just to make sure that they understood exactly what it was.
Right.
Okay. And then once we do that, typically people are like, okay, got you. But on the flip side, I want to make you aware of what the other ones are, because at certain points you're going to use those other three traits.
Okay. And that just helps me be a better communicator. That's the main thing.
Absolutely. This is really communication is key. This is, whether it's a church group, whether it's your social relationships, whether it's whatever. Again, this tool set is good for anyone that opens their mouth and talks to people. Like when you are communicating, even our children, there is actually a assessment for school age and student.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, later on.
And then that makes sense, because they learn how to better communicate with their teachers, with other students and all of that. And I get what you're saying. I see what you're saying.
I would be inclined to do this as a parent, do this as a family thing. If I had like teenagers, like my son's about to turn 13, I know that I'm a DI. I would love to know that my son is a CS, so that I am able to communicate with him, because my DI, I'm more or less like, I want to know what you did today, not how you did it today. And I have to be able to communicate effectively with our children, because now when we go to the dinner table and you wonder why my kid is just giving me one word answers, Well, guess what? They're high Ds. High Ds don't want small talk. They just want to just get to the point.
Ask me the question, I'll give you the answer. There you go.
Exactly. So we can't get mad at our children because of the fact that that's just who they are. They're wired that way. And you can't necessarily change them. You can make them aware that, hey, a conversation is this. You want to make sure that they know what a conversation is and how to effectively communicate with people as well. So I think the earlier the better. Teenagers, I think this is a great tool for them as well.
Yeah, definitely. I never thought about it from that standpoint, but yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So now I want to get into the, so how much and what and how, where can I get this DISC assessment from? Because that's always important, the where. Okay, so if you want to schedule your own personal assessment, so the assessment in and of itself is $75. Now, the assessment, when you take the assessment, again, it's best to set aside about 15 to 20 minutes time to take the assessment. I tell people the quietest, most peaceful time of day for you. You figure out that time and then you take the assessment. What we do is once you sign up and pay for the assessment, we will send you the link and your key code to actually unlock your assessment. You can take it whenever you want to. There's no expiration on that. Once you take the assessment and you hit the submit button, you will then within 10 or 15 minutes to your that same email, you will receive a your output. Now this output is about 15 pages. And that 15 pages is giving you everything that I've talked about today, but it's also going into detail and a deeper dive into you and what your personality traits are saying. It's also going to give you a lot of output as to folks that you are connected with. It gives you, I call it our celebrity partners. I call it that because of the fact that it gives you a lot of people that actually fall in line with these traits. A lot of celebrities, a lot of folks that you see on the internet, they have taken this assessment, so they've incorporated those people in there. So I had someone to take the assessment and she fell in line with high D personality. She was a DI, and a lot of presidents are high Ds, which is understandable. They have to make split-second decisions, and they always want to know the what, not the how. So I was like, these are people that you connect with as far as with your personality. So you're not alone in this. That 3%, this is who falls into that 3% category. So that output, it's a lot. It gives you some exercises that you can do to kind of tap into that awareness piece of the people that are around you as well. So so you don't necessarily need the 1 hour debrief. So you can pay, it's $145, which will give you your assessment plus a 1 hour debrief with me if you have a series of questions. Now, mind you, with every assessment, I do give a 15-minute debrief. If you so choose, you can have a complimentary 15-minute debrief with me. 15 minutes goes by very quickly. So if you have, once you read your output, if you have a lot of questions, I would encourage you to just go ahead and pay for the 1 hour debrief. So now, because it's my birthday, Amira, I want to give away some stuff. So I want to give some free assessments, but it comes with, I want to get as many people, as many people aware and how to effectively communicate. So if you host a virtual mastermind of DISC and you host at least 10 people with 50% of the participants purchasing an assessment, I will give the host a free assessment. That is the $75 value of the assessment. If you host at least 20 people and you do the virtual mastermind, I will, and 50% of the participants purchase an assessment, I am going to give a free assessment plus the 1 hour debrief. You can, I will later on this morning, well, this afternoon, I'm going to post another I'm going to put a post on my social media handles of how you can get in touch with me. You can connect with me. Again, there's my email, or you can schedule today at www.h2gleadher.net. And I also want you to connect with me on my social media, which is at Tanika Howard on LinkedIn and at Lead Her 10 on Instagram and Facebook. And if you want to do, for all of our entrepreneurs, if you want to, and our coaches, entrepreneurs and coaches, what I want to do for them, if this is something that you think would be beneficial to your business or complementary to whatever it is that you are providing, or how you're adding value to people, if you want to partner with me in any way, just connect with me. I would ask you to just schedule a 30-minute discussion with me. Go to my website and schedule that with me, and we can talk about how we can partner together and align. Because again, we want to make sure that our customer base, the folks that we are engaging with, that we are adding value to them in every possible way. So I have no problem with partnering with folks. I do a lot of referral sales. So you will get free things from me and kickbacks from me for referring customers my way and doing partnerships. So let me know how I can add value to people and to your customers, so that we can make, because at the end of the day, we just want to make people better people.
Yep. Yeah.
So yeah. So again, I wanted to give something for free. So what I'm going to do is, how do I get something free? There's 6 people in here and they stayed around for an hour, right? So how do I get something for free? So today, for those that are doing the live, I want you to send me a message on @LeadHer10, and I want you to state what your business name is, if you have a business name, how you want to use this assessment, how will this make you a superpower, how this is a super tool for you, whether it's with your family or whether it's with your or whether it's in your business. Let me know how you want to use this, and also, what did you take away from the training today? So 3 things. What is your social media handles? What is your takeaway from this training? And how will this assessment be used as a super tool for you? I'm going to send those instructions out, but they must do it by 5 o'clock. Those that did it on the live feed. Hey, I got to put some time limits on this thing.
5 o'clock.
I can't do it and you send it to me at midnight. That's not fair to everybody. But I am going to, because I'm not going to repost until 5 o'clock. So you must give me the information before 5 o'clock so that we can make our decision on who's going to get it. I'm going to give you a special shout out as far as on my social media as to who received it. And then we'll go from there. So was there any last questions? I hear my dog is going crazy right now. Was there any questions?
Shauna said, is this Lead Her 10 on Facebook? Okay.
Yes, Lead Her 10 is on Facebook. Lead Her 10 is on Instagram. On LinkedIn, it's Tanika Howard. And the website is h2gleadher.net. So I will post all of those things to the Fearless Women Entrepreneurs page so that people can get in touch with me. And if they have any questions, please don't hesitate to contact me and let me know what your questions are.
Are you going to do anything in regards to replays? Because I know some people may not see this until after 5 o'clock, possibly. A lot of people don't get on their streams sometime until after work. So will you do anything in regard?
I will, because I'm giving away something, I will not post the replay until 5:01.
Okay.
Because at 5 o'clock, the giveaway is over. At 5:01,
that's right.
Again, and there will be special things given away percentages, discounts. I'll be giving those away all this week because it's my birthday week. It's Monday, and I want to just give things away because that's just who I am.
All right.
So yes, again, if you want to host a virtual mastermind, I am definitely, we can make that happen as far as the virtual masterminds. So yes, is there any more questions? Okay, so again, I'm going to start my chapter 39. I am 13 hours into chapter 39, so I'm going to have some fun with the rest of my day. Connect with me again on @LeadHer10 on my social media handles. @LeadHer10 on Facebook and Instagram. LinkedIn is Tanika Howard. And the website is h2gleadher.net. So I think that is it. I have checked all of the parting questions. My dog wants to go celebrate my birthday with me, so he is talking. Get off of there. So I am excited to go start my birthday. And
ain't nothing wrong with that. It's time to have a good time for your birthday. It is nothing wrong. You started off good with this. Hey, the rest of the day is gonna be great. Yes. Definitely.
So I will see y'all later. Thank you again for allowing me to present today.
Definitely.
Yes. Everybody just go be great and have fun on this Monday.
All right. You all have a great one.
You too. We will see y'all soon.
All right. Bye-bye.